my wife said, "You're just a paycheck to me." I acted normal. Then I pulled the plug on all her cards. 3 days later, she called me screaming. It slipped out of her mouth like it meant nothing, like I wasn't supposed to hear it. "You're just a paycheck to me," she said, laughing with her wine glass raised, joking with her friend like I was a walking ATM in a button-up. She didn't even look at me when she said it. But I heard every word. I smiled. Acted like I didn't care. Like it was funny. But inside, something shut off. A switch flipped. She had no idea that was the moment she lost everything. I let her enjoy her joke. Let her sleep peacefully that night. And the next morning, while she sipped coffee and scrolled through shopping apps, I began cutting her off, card by card, account by account. 3 days later, my phone exploded with calls. Voicemails full of rage, panic, and desperation. Her world was crumbling, and she didn't even know why. But I did. Because I wasn't just a paycheck. I was the man paying attention. And I was done. It happened on a Friday night. We were out with a group of her friends, sitting at a rooftop lounge she insisted on, the kind of place where cocktails cost more than a day's groceries. She was glowing that night, full of charm, laughing louder than usual. And then it happened. One of her friends asked, jokingly, "What's it like being married to someone so responsible and boring?" They laughed, and without missing a beat, she smirked and said, "Honestly? He's just a paycheck to me." The table erupted in laughter. But me. I froze. She didn't glance at me. Didn't apologize. Just kept sipping her drink like she'd said something perfectly harmless. I forced a smile. Nodded. Tried to laugh it off. But inside, I felt a punch straight to the chest. I looked around to see if anyone else noticed how cruel it really was. No one did. She thought it was cute. Thought calling me a paycheck was somehow edgy or empowering. But what she really did was expose everything I'd been trying not to admit. That wasn't a joke. That was the truth slipping out of her mouth, dressed as humor. And in that moment, the mask she'd worn for years cracked wide open, and I saw her for exactly who she was. I didn't confront her. I didn't pull her aside and ask, "What did you mean by that?" No. That's what she expected. A reaction, a little drama, maybe a fight she could twist into making me the bad guy. But instead, I smiled. I poured her another glass of wine. I kissed her on the cheek when we got home. I told her she looked beautiful before bed. And the whole time, I was planning her financial funeral. While she scrolled through her favorite luxury shopping apps the next morning, I logged into every account she'd never bothered to learn the passwords to, because why would she? I had always managed it all. Mortgage, utilities, credit cards, her gym membership, her designer subscriptions. She never lifted a finger to pay for anything. She called me just a paycheck. Fine. Let's see what life looks like without the paycheck. I didn't make a sound. Didn't leave a hint. I kept breakfast warm, folded the laundry, even agreed to her spa day with that same calm face. Meanwhile, I started noting what to shut down first. The accounts she used most, the ones with the biggest ripple effect. This wasn't a tantrum. It was strategy. She wouldn't see it coming until the floor vanished under her feet. The truth is, I had been funding her fantasy life for years. Every bill, every dinner, every spontaneous shopping spree, it all came from my account. When we first got married, I didn't mind. I loved her. Providing felt natural. She quit her job 6 months in, said she wanted to focus on herself. I supported that. When she wanted a new car, I financed it. When she wanted to remodel the kitchen, I made it happen. But I should have known something was off when gratitude turned into expectation. Eventually, she stopped saying, "Thank you." Stopped asking if something was affordable. It became normal for her to drop $400 on skincare without blinking, to come home with designer bags she just had to have. I was the one budgeting, cutting corners quietly behind the scenes to keep everything afloat. We never had our money. It was always my money and her lifestyle. She never paid a utility bill. Didn't even know how much the mortgage was. The joint account was just a river she drank from, assuming it would never run dry. And I let it happen, thinking I was being a good husband. But that night, when she called me a paycheck, I realized I hadn't been a husband to her. I'd been a sponsor. And the contract just got canceled. I waited until she left for her usual Pilates and coffee routine. The moment the door closed behind her, I opened my laptop, took a deep breath, and began the digital execution. Quiet, cold, and final. First, the joint credit cards. I logged in, selected Freeze Card, and confirmed. One click, and her plastic lifeline turned into dead weight. I didn't cancel them outright. No, that would tip her off immediately. I wanted the chaos to unfold in real time, transaction by transaction. Then came the subscription services, the designer rental accounts, the skincare clubs, the overpriced wellness boxes she bragged about on Instagram. Gone. All of them. I deactivated her streaming accounts too, just to make sure that even Netflix wouldn't offer her comfort while her world started shaking. Next, the bank account. I moved every cent out of the joint savings and into a private one in my name. Not a penny left behind. She didn't contribute anyway, just spent freely, like the funds magically refilled themselves. Finally, the cherry on top. I called the concierge service on her platinum card, the one she used to book spa days and last-minute weekend getaways, and revoked her authorization. By the time she tapped her card at her favorite boutique later that day, the guillotine had already fallen. All that remained was silence, and a very long receipt marked, declined. I didn't need to be there to see it. I could picture it perfectly, her standing at the register of one of those high-end boutiques she loved so much, arms full of designer pieces, sunglasses on, confidence at full charge, until that cold little beep echoed through the store. Declined. She'd laugh nervously at first. Maybe hand over another card. Another beep. Another decline. Her voice would sharpen. She'd start asking the clerk to run it again. But the system wouldn't lie. The flow of money she depended on had dried up. And she hadn't even noticed it was leaking until it was gone. Back home, I sat in my office, sipping coffee like it was any other day. Except it wasn't. Because for the first time in our marriage, I wasn't the one cleaning up her messes. I wasn't saving her from herself. I was letting her feel what I had felt for years. Helpless, unappreciated, used. My phone began buzzing. First once. Then again. And again. I ignored them all. She hadn't even figured out what was happening yet, and already, the panic was setting in. Watching her world fall apart from a distance wasn't cruel. It was justice. Cold. Quiet. Deserved. On the third day, the mask finally cracked. I was in the middle of lunch when my phone rang, her name flashing across the screen. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, another call. Then another. I finally picked up, not to talk, just to listen. She didn't even say hello. She was already mid-scream. What the hell is going on? All my cards are frozen. I couldn't even pay for gas today. Her voice was frantic, laced with rage and panic, a far cry from the smug laughter she had when she called me a paycheck. I stayed quiet. She filled the silence with accusations. Are you doing this? Are you seriously cutting me off like this? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I wanted to laugh. I calmly replied, I thought I was just a paycheck, remember? So I stopped paying. Dead silence. It hit her like a freight train. All the little things she dismissed, all the invisible labor she mocked, all the bills she never saw, they were gone. And with them, so was her sense of control. She hung up on me after a few more desperate shouts. I didn't call back. Let her scream. That was just the sound of reality catching up. By day 4, the panic had shifted to a new tone, the voice of fake innocence. Gone was the screaming. Now, she was soft-spoken, gentle, like none of this had ever happened. Why are you doing this? She asked in a voice that dripped with staged confusion. What did I do to deserve this? It was almost impressive, how quickly she switched roles. From the queen of cold dismissals to the confused, hurt wife trying to understand. She knew exactly what she had done, but now that the consequences were in full swing, she was rewriting the script in real time. She wanted to play dumb. Pretend like the comment she made, "You're just a paycheck to me," was just a joke. Just words. She forgot that I had it recorded. The voice memo app had been open in my pocket the night she let the mask slip. I didn't need it for court. I needed it for truth. I didn't play along. I didn't coddle her. I told her exactly why this was happening. Word for word. Repeated her sentence back to her. There was a long pause on the other end, the silence of someone realizing they'd finally gone too far. She didn't respond. Because she knew her little joke had cost her everything. She thought she could beat me to the story, and for a brief moment, she did. I started hearing whispers. Friends texting me strange things like, "Are you okay?" Or, "She told us you're being financially abusive." She was already twisting the narrative, painting herself as the poor wife abandoned and cut off by her cold, controlling husband. But she didn't realize something very important. I had receipts. And I wasn't afraid to use them. When mutual friends started asking what was really going on, I didn't rant. I didn't get emotional. I simply played the clip. Just one sentence. Her voice clear as day, laughing over drinks. "He's just a paycheck to me." Every single person went silent. Some said, "Wow." Others apologized for assuming the worst. Even her own sister texted me later that night with a simple message, "Now it all makes sense." She underestimated how powerful the truth can be when you let it speak for itself. I didn't have to smear her name. I didn't have to defend myself. She did all the damage. I just let people hear it with their own ears. And once they did, there was no defending her anymore. She kept trying. Calls, texts, even showing up at my office one afternoon with tears in her eyes and trembling hands. "Can we please talk?" she asked, voice barely a whisper. But I didn't flinch. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her and walked past. That was the moment she knew. The man she thought she could control was gone. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to fight or throw her mistakes in her face. My silence was louder than any screaming match ever could be. It was clean, unapologetic, final. 4 years, I let things slide. Gave her the benefit of the doubt. Swallowed disrespect for the sake of peace. But not anymore. Now, peace meant boundaries. Now, revenge didn't come in the form of insults. It came in the form of indifference. She thought love meant access. That no matter what she said or did, I'd always be there. But this time, my love came with a door. And once she crossed that final line, I shut it, without slamming, without sound. She once called me just a paycheck. Now she was bankrupt, emotionally, financially, and most of all, in my absence. In the end, I wasn't just a man with a wallet. I was the one who gave her everything. Comfort, stability, love, protection. And when she reduced all of that to a single paycheck, she didn't just insult me. She exposed her own emptiness. But here's what she never saw coming. I was also her wake-up call. She didn't just lose money. She lost access. She lost credibility. She lost the one person who would have done anything for her, until she laughed in his face. And when I took it all away, I didn't do it out of spite. I did it because I finally understood my value. People like her don't change until the ground disappears under their feet. And I was the one holding the foundation the entire time. Once I let go, she had no choice but to fall. Now I live simply, peacefully. Everything in my life is paid for by something she never appreciated. My hard work, my heart, my loyalty. And she lives with regret. I wasn't just a paycheck. I was a partner, a protector. And when she saw me as less than that, she didn't just lose a provider. She lost the best thing she ever had.